From Los Angeles, it's the John Kerwin Show. I'm your announcer, Keith Leon, along with Nicholas Burns and the band. Tonight's guest, Bruce Dern. And now, here's your host, John Kerwin.
Welcome back. Tonight's guest is one of America's great actors. He was nominated for the Academy Award for his work in the film Coming Home. Currently, he's on the hit HBO show Big Love and has an upcoming film called Twixt Now and Sunrise, directed by Francis Coppola. Please welcome Mr. Bruce Dern.
Thank you, sir.
That doesn't embarrass you, that introduction, does it?
No, I'm sorry?
That doesn't embarrass you, that introduction, does it?
No, I love it. I mean,
Good.
we all love it. I'm like the comics that go like this, you know? So,
Right.
Bring it on, you know.
You have such a unique look. I mean, seeing you, such a unique look.
I do?
Yes. I mean, this is, what do people say when they meet you? When they see Bruce Dern?
I don't know that they've ever said a damn thing. I mean, I'm not sure what they say. I know earlier in my career when I did some dastardly things upon becoming somewhat of a movie star, they looked at me with a little bit of trepidation and not fear, but I mean, I had to kill John Wayne in a movie.
That's right.
He'd never been killed, never was, except in one-on-one.
You killed John Wayne, the only person ever to kill John Wayne in film.
Yes.
That's incredible. And that had to really cause a lot of animosity with his fans.
Well, it caused a lot of it, and yet he did a funny thing. The day that we had to do the shootout, the day before, we had to do a long fight, and he just pounded me in the fight. He was a huge guy. People don't realize how big he is. You know, I mean, big he was. He was like 6'5" and weighed 280. Mm-hmm. And his forearms were as big as I'm a runner, and they were as big as my thighs. And he had just done the Playboy interview, where he was the only guy to be on the cover of Playboy, you know, and he did a 14-page interview inside the magazine, in which he ripped everybody in America a new butthole. But the people that lived on Balboa Island, which is a little island down in Newport there, where his yacht was, the Wild Goose, where he lived. And he just ripped everybody, every religion, every political, everything in this Playboy article. And 8:30 in the morning, the day we were going to shoot him, he never had bullet hits put on him before. A bullet hit is when they put 3 patches here, and the little guy sitting over in the corner has got wires that you don't see that are running over to him, and he hits this nail on the explosion, and the hole blows out of the shirt, and it looks like you've been shot. That's how they do that. And he'd never had that done to him. And he leans into me just before we did that, and he said, "Is this gonna hurt?" And I said, "You're goddamn right it's going to hurt. They're going to blow your chest apart." And he said, you know, they're going to really hate you for this. Oh, how they're going to hate you for this." I said, "Maybe. But in Berkeley, I'm a damn hero."
That's right.
And he put his arm on my shoulder and he says, "That's why this guy is in this movie, and why Mark Rydell, the director, and I picked him to be in this movie, because he understands, and maybe he's the only actor ever, but certainly in his generation, that understands bad guys are funny. Because bad guys think they're stars. And especially in the Old West, you know, if you're one of the faster gunfighters and everything like that, somebody's always going to get you sometime. So you got to be able to dance a little and walk around and have a little game, you know."
You really shot him up. I remember, you know, it was like one leg,
In the back.
Right, from the back, the leg, and then the arm,
yeah.
And then finally, then it's like the whole village kind of circles around his dead
all the
body.
kids, yeah.
That was quite a powerful
Anyway, and
moment.
then 2 years later, I made the mistake of taking the Goodyear blimp and trying to blow up the Super Bowl in a
Black
movie called
Sunday.
Black Sunday.
That's right.
So that's why people looked at me with a little fear. One time, I remember when, what's his name? The guy who did Jim, who did Monday Night Football for a year, the comedian. really good comedian.
Comedian who did Monday? You mean Dennis Miller?
Yeah, Dennis Miller, not Jim. Now, his brother's Jimmy Miller, who's
That's
a
right.
manager
That's right.
and handles people. And they're from Pittsburgh or around there somewhere. And one night he was doing a Monday Night Football game, and I'm a little bit of a gambler, and I'm an avid sports fan. And the blimp was up in the air, and he said, well, you know something? I saw Bruce Dern this afternoon running. And so I know he's not up there, so we're all okay.
That's a hip reference, right, to that movie. Absolutely. Now, you know, first of all, I loved your autobiography.
Oh, thank you so much.
Read it in one day. It was a very quick read.
Oh, really?
I couldn't get it at a bookstore. It was sold out at Barnes & Noble and Borders. And then online, it wouldn't have come quickly enough to me, so I had to go to the library. This is from the Venice Library. I got a library book. And I thought you might like this. This is the only thing that you can get at a library. Someone wrote something who I guess had read it before. It said on the front cover right there, Dern is one cool dude.
Oh, wow.
Look at that. You know something?
When he sold it to the library, he probably got more than I got when he bought it.
Yeah. One of the things about this book is it's interesting is that you come from a privileged upbringing. Your grandfather was the former governor of Utah and Secretary of War. Your godfather was Adlai Stevenson. Eleanor Roosevelt babysat you. I mean, that is some childhood. That had to give you some sense of almost entitlement when you got into the acting business. Like, hey, if I'm around these people, it's no big deal to be around Jack Nicholson or Marlon Brando or any of those other people.
And when I was growing up, I had, you know, every 2 or 3 nights a week, I'd have people at my table who were giant people in America in terms of press and politics and who they were. And yet, little Brucey used to push his food with his fingers. You know how you have the fork like this, and then you push your food to get it on so you can eat it. Well, that was no-no in my house. I had to wear white gloves so I wouldn't push my food and wash them every damn night after dinner to make sure that I didn't push my food. And they
Did that make you a little neurotic?
I'm still neurotic. I mean, you know, and when I came from New York to Hollywood, and even today, I'm still just trying to get better as an actor. There's so much I still want to do as an actor. There's so much I still feel I have to say that I can do. There's not time to do anything else. Those were like the common goals of all of us that came in that time. It wasn't just me, but those were mine. But now, a lot of the kids that get off the Greyhound or the airport or drive in town, they only have 2 goals. Get a star on the boulevard and go to the party.
Right.
I mean,
you just got your star on Hollywood Boulevard, by the way, just last year. Yeah, Hollywood signed got the thing.
Well, I wasn't alone. I wasn't alone. My daughter and my ex-wife, Diane Ladd, we all
Laura
got
Dern,
them.
yes.
But we were the first family that has ever been honored where mother, father, and child all got separate stars on Hollywood Boulevard, and also we're the first family where all 3, mother, father, and child, have been nominated for Academy Awards. Other families, but never mother, father, and child. And Laura's got game. Laura is a wonderful, wonderful actress. And the mom, although she hears the music a little different than some of us, she is, you know, she is a very good actress.
Is it true that you were a guest on a talk show once and security wouldn't let you in a lot because they thought you looked like a killer?
Well, I went to do I did Johnny Carson about 6 or 7 times, and Craig Tennis, your friend, was always the guy that booked me. He kind of discovered me for national television that one. He was a terrific guy, fabulous, and had a real eye for doing that. And then when we got there, making us comfortable, and he had to go through Fred DeCordova every day, who was like an area guy.
Fred was back there in the early 70s, huh? He was there then?
71, when Silent Running came out, 72. And
so you go on the lot?
I came on the lot, and Black Sunday had just opened. Right. And I walked in, and I asked the guard, like a fool. They said I could go to the green room. I didn't really know what the green room meant. But they say it's a little room where you have crackers and stuff like that. So, and you can wait and watch the show, huh? And so I started walking toward him, and he says, hey, wait. you're not going there. I said, what do you mean? He said, how did you even get in here? I said, I'm going to be on the show. He said, don't lie to me, son. And I said, hey, bud, here's the drill, okay? And I just turned on him like I did in Black Sunday, you know? And I said, make no mistake about who it is that's telling you this, okay? I'm going to walk to the room and you're not going to say shit. And he went and got a helper. And the helper said, that's the guy from Black Sunday. He's fine. He's just, you know, going to blow up the Super Bowl. I went to work on a movie called The Laughing Policeman with Walter Matthau and I. And I met him at a Laker game the night before we went to San Francisco to do the movie. And I knew he was a wise guy, and I knew for 8 weeks I was going to have to, because it was two detectives, and we were, you know, it was odd couple detectives, so I was always on his case, and he was always on mine. So I walk up, and I introduced myself to him, and I said, Walter, my name's Bruce Dern, and, you know, I'm in this movie with you, and I just want to thank you for allowing me to go above the title with you. Every actor or actress has to have somebody allow you to go above the title in a movie so you can say Walter Matthau and Bruce Dern. And you don't just get that automatically unless you're the Bieber kid.
Right.
Who incidentally, at the Staples Center on Sunday was raining down threes. I mean, the kid went out and he was just hitting threes after, better than Robbie Benson. Who used to do
one-on-one, that movie,
Right.
So you have Bieber fever.
Yeah, right. So, no, I don't have Bieber fever. I can't. There was a question on the radio the other day. Somebody said, anybody calls in, gets a Langer's lunch, $107 at Langer's, if they can tell me the lyrics to any Justin Bieber song. And one guy finally got on. Everybody missed it. One guy got on. He started, baby, 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 baby. And then he went all the way through. And he said, that's it. And the guy on the air said, you were one baby short. So he didn't get the line.
You've been linked with Jack Nicholson quite a bit, not only in the movies, but as friends. What's an experience the two of you have had?
Well...
yes, that one.
Karen Black is sitting right behind me, and she's smoking a joint, like this. This was joint days, and before Happy Days, joint days. And she gives it to Jack. Jack takes a puff off it, and he offers it to me. He knows I don't smoke dope, and he offers it to me, and he says, "What's the matter, Derns? Aren't you having a nice time?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm having a nice time." And he goes, "Why not have a better one?" That's Jack Nicholson.
So this is called Things I've Said But Probably Shouldn't Have. What's something since you've written this book that you can tell us that you probably shouldn't say?
Adlai Stevenson, who was a godfather, came to see me in Sweet Bird of Youth on Broadway. All my people were gone. And this was the play. It starred Paul Newman, Geraldine Page, Rip Torn, and I played a little pissant bartender. But I was in it. And afterward, we went to have dinner, and he told me that, you know, he was pleased with what I was doing with my career and my life and everything. This was 1959, 3 years, just before the Kennedys asked him to help them get Chicago and Illinois and West Virginia to win the election. And I said, let me ask you a question. And he said, okay. I said, when you ran for president in 52, and then you ran again in 56, was there a difference in that 4 years? And he said, well, when I ran for president in 52, I felt the horse that I came in on was damn near as white as it could be, pretty white. And I was running against a man who couldn't be beat. I mean, he won the war, he was a righteous man, he was religious, he was a good man, he was a pretty good politician, and Dwight Eisenhower had game. I mean, he didn't use that, but I'm using that. And he said, when I came in 1956, this is tough, somehow that horse was a lot grayer. And he said, he put his hand on me like this, and he said, I want you to do me a favor. I don't ever want you to vote for that office until you see somebody on a damn clean white horse. And I never voted, ever, until Obama. And I voted for him. And it's not something I shouldn't have said, but what I shouldn't admit is that I waited so long to vote. But his point always got to me, that he was game enough and hip enough to understand what politics do to you in 4 years before the entrance and then 4 years down the road. It's not the same. You're going to get the horse grayer. You're going to get grayer. You're going to get bought by this one or that one. They're going to be on you, on you, on you. And he was, you guys don't know him very well, but he was the original liberal candidate for president in this country. He was walking down south before Martin was walking down south. And he was just a really, really good man and a good guy, and I admired that. And you know, I just, that's what I remember. Anything else that I've said since then that I shouldn't is that I get upset. I shouldn't say this, but I get upset at the Academy Awards. George C. Scott won 2 Academy Awards, turned them both down. Didn't go to the ceremony, told the Academy not to send him to him. He didn't want it. His reason for it is the same reason I have for it. I'd go in a second. I mean, I was nominated, I was there. I mean, I had my limo was there an hour early so I could be there on time. You know, I mean, I was totally into, you know, the thing. However, it is not a competition. Acting is collaborative, like I said earlier. It's teamwork. It's all the people together working. And it's not a competition. And George Scott, that's why he turned it down. He turned it down because it's not a competition. Nobody is better than everybody else. And there's tons of performances nobody will ever see that are fabulous. I go to movies that I will see just for one scene or one moment in a scene. And I'll leave you by telling this short story. When I did a movie with Charlton Heston called Will Penny. It's a Western. And he was excellent in it. And he had done Ben-Hur 6 years earlier. And he said, have you seen, what movies of mine have you seen? He's from Wilmette. I mean, what's he going to say? You know, he lives where the train tracks are on the street. You know, they're not up on the L line. They run down the street. And he lived right across from there with his 2 aunts. And I said, there's a moment in Ben-Hur, it's the best moment I ever saw in a movie for pure somebody being as honest as you can possibly be. And he said, what was that? And I told him. And it was the moment when Heston Ben-Hur is at the fountain, all chained and everything, on the chain gang, going to the ship. And he's trying to get water. And nobody's getting water because they're all chained and everything. And a guy in robes with long hair comes up behind him, takes a goblet, and gives him water. And we never see the person's face. And a Roman centurion who's on horse comes up and he says, no water for him, and cracks his whip. And the guy in the robe stands up and turns, you never see his face, and turns to the centurion who's right where he is. And the centurion pulls his whip back again to crack him, and he says, I said no water for him. Well, as he was this much back for the second whip, his whole face totally changes because he saw God. Because that was Christ that gave him water. And Heston said to me, William Wyler, the director, saw 1,000 faces over 4 days to pick the face he wanted. And that's movies. And that's why I came to the business, because it's about the purity of moments, the honesty of moments, the normalcy of moments, the normalcy of people, and then what they do with that and how they thrive with that and how they develop that. And it's just, I was excited to be an actor. And I was thrilled when I finally got to Hollywood. And it's not that I prefer movies over the stage. It's that it's there forever. It's, I don't know, it's been fun. I'm still having fun. I'm looking to be an octogenarian without a problem.
You want to live to be 100. You want to actually run a mile when you're 100. Is that right? I read it in the book.
Yeah.
There you go. I didn't have to do a damn thing in this interview.
I got to tell you something. I got to tell you one thing, though. I've been interviewed by all the usual people, you know, starting with Johnny Carson and Mr. Tennis, his friend who brought me in there. And he has a tremendous talent that is very rare. If he feels someone has a little bit of game, he lets them go. And even though he's got prepared stuff on his paper and everything like that, he lets you dance and then has the ability, by his quietness, of dancing with you. And you know why? Because he's got a gift. And one of his gifts is he's prepared and he knows every goddamn thing about me there is if he just reads this. But the point is, that's talent. And very few people have that, and we got to get him on bigger audiences, bigger shows, so he's on the network so everybody can see it. Why should the Jewish people be the only guy that has John Kerwin, you know?
That's one of the nicest things anyone's ever said to me.
Well, it's true.
Thank you
It's
so much.
absolutely
Mr.
true.
Dern, thank you very much. That's our show. We'll see you next time. Good night, folks.